Everyone, it's Melissa from Knowlton. Welcome today to our Seems Like Summer Series 2 event here this morning. I'm super excited to announce that we have our summer event coming up. It is July 16th through the 19th, and it's called Stitch and Save Days. If you haven't received an email yet, sign up for our newsletter. We'll be showing you throughout today's presentation here how to get to signing up for classes and knowing more about the Stitch and Save Days. So it's going to be a difference compared to the past of what we've done. Before, in the past, we would have a class and a class and a class, and then we would have one full day on Saturday for our open house. Well, this year, we're bringing more to you. We're actually having the event over 4 days. What that means is that we're going to have demonstrations, free classes, paid classes, open house, savings for 4 days straight. So we're really bringing a lot more to you this year to help with your experience at the Knowlton storefront here in the Knowlton factory. So today, what we want to do is I'm going to introduce the presenter or the educators to you that will be educating and be the class leaders for our classes throughout the week. Throughout the live event here as well, that Katie is going to be putting up a QR code at the bottom there that you can register for classes. Classes are limited, so if you're interested in classes, get out there and register as soon as you can. And the awesome thing that we're bringing this year on the free classes, some of them will be done over the internet as well. So there will be an in-person, and if you can't do in-person, or if you're not able to make it to Knowlton here in Hiawatha, Iowa, you will be able to join us on the internet. So we will be sharing that. Right now, there's going to be limited on different things. So as we go through, we will be putting that on our website of which ones will be streamed and which ones will not be streamed. So with that being said, one quick thing I need to ask Katie. Katie, will we be sending out an email with a link?
To register for class?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So we'll be sending that out, and you should have received some link or some links already. If you haven't, sign up for our newsletter or go directly to our website, www.knowlton.com. There's a link there. Go to our banner, click on the link. That'll go directly to our paid classes and our free classes. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce our first educator out of New York, Joyce Flowers. Joyce, if you want to just tell a little bit about yourself, and then Veronica, tell a little bit about yourself. And then I will, unfortunately, we were not able to have one of our educators with us this morning. So I will tell you a little bit about Brenna, and then each day we're going to go through the classes, and I'll facilitate the conversation here. And each of the educators will give you a little snippet of what they plan on demonstrating or teaching you.
Hi, I'm Joyce Flowers. I live in New York State, a long ways from New York City. I've been a Knowlton dealer since 2009, owned my Knowlton since 2009, and as soon as Quilt Magic became available, I was on board with that because I love techie stuff. So I've been teaching automation now for 10 years and enjoy especially the aha moments of the students in my class when they finally go like, I get it. Okay. So I have some classes planned for some that are a little bit more experienced and those that are just starting, or if you need a really good review so that you can go home confident to work with your long arm and with your automation system. So I will tell you a little bit more about those coming up, but looking forward to being at Knowlton again to bring education out. My background is in teaching. I love teaching and anxious to share great things with you. Veronica?
Hello, my name is Veronica. I'm the Quilting She Shed Online. I came to be a Knowlton brand ambassador in 2019. I come from the aircraft mechanic world, and as I've moved up in long arms, I liked the technical side of things, and I will be teaching some beginner-friendly classes as well as some classes for some more advanced people, such as stenciling. And if you don't want to use automation, you'll be able to learn on some of these classes.
Thanks, Veronica. And then our third educator that will be helping us out that week is Brenna Goody. She is actually born and raised in Iowa. She lives about 45 minutes away from us, and she is a brand ambassador as well. She came from the military background, similar to Veronica, similar to myself, that military government background and academics, and she really, really enjoys quilting. She does have a full-time job, but she also quilts on the side and quilts for people. And she really likes the repair piece of the knolting. She thinks it's an awesome machine as well. And she really likes that repair piece. She's a self-taught designer and long armor. And she thrives on blending fabric, style, and story all together. And so she's going to be bringing some education to us as well that week. So we're excited to have Brenna join us for the first time in education. So I will briefly talk about her classes when we get to that. A couple other things is that week, in all the free classes and the paid classes, there will be a super deal. So a little bit different once again from the past. So there's going to be a super deal if you participate in that class, either paid or unpaid. And then there will be other savings that we'll have. We're going to do a save and more type event for all our accessories and notions. And we are having some super saves on our machines. One of the things that I would encourage you, if you have been thinking about purchasing a long arm, or wanting to get a one-on-one demonstration, I would encourage you to sign up for a time slot so I can ensure that I can spend the amount of time with you as needed and to know a little bit more what you're looking for. If you're looking for a new machine or if you're looking for a refurbished machine, because we are going to have some super sales on our refurbished machines during that week as well. So I'd encourage you to go to our website, and I believe Katie will put up a link too that you can directly submit a ticket that you can schedule a time for us, and either myself or Joyce or Veronica, someone will be able to go through and walk you through and really take you through that experience so we can figure out what's going to work for you and what best works for you so you can have the appropriate time allotted to you personally. That's one of the things that we want to bring to you during that week, is that one-on-one experience with you. So with that, let's go ahead and get started on our classes. What I'll do between Joyce and Veronica and Brenna is that I'll facilitate, and then you guys can just tell a little bit about what you plan on doing for the classes, and then we'll just go on to the next person. So the first class, we'll go through the Wednesday classes. Wednesday, we'll start with you, Joyce, for Pattern CAD.
Right. Over the years, I've had people ask me about Pattern CAD and how can they design a pantograph with it? How do they use it? So I've taught Pattern CAD before as a partial day or a full day class where you learn how to use it. But this particular class is going to be, I think, maybe a little bit easier way to get into Pattern CAD. I'm going to walk you through how to actually design a pantograph in Pattern CAD. The things to look for, the things to do, and show you that it is not that hard to do. And using a little bit of your own artistic or maybe off the internet patterns, or have your grandchild draw a pattern, for example, or one of your kids, and making it into a pantograph. So it's going to be a fun time to learn how to use the features that are in Pattern CAD to design your own pattern.
Thanks, Joyce. Let's go on to Veronica on the pantos that you will be doing a demonstration for. And just so you know, on the free classes, this is a free class that will be coming on, and they will be 20, 30, 40 minutes. Really depends on what questions that you might have to the educator. The whole goal is on the free classes is that to give you a little bit of piece of maybe some questions that you've had when you started, or maybe you've never done it and you want to start dabbling in it, or maybe you're really experienced in it, but you've been having some questions that you've had wondered in your brain. Any of those types of things, from not experienced to experience, you're welcome to join the classes. So with that, I will have Veronica tell you a little bit about what she wants to share with you in her panto class.
So in the Panto class, I'll be going over, like she said, troubleshooting, how to line up a pantograph, whether you're using your front or your rear laser, um, some different on different machines. They have different buttons and uh, whether it's stitch regulated or manual, what you would put your machine into, and kind of going through advanced, even, for some of our beginners as well. So I'll be
Thanks,
teaching
Veronica.
how to use a basic pantograph.
Next class is the couching foot, and Brenna will be doing the techniques and tips on the couching feet. The couching foot is pretty unique because a lot of people don't have a lot of experience with that. It can make some really, really nice embellishments to your quilt if it's maybe around an applique. But she will be giving you some tips and tricks on that. And all of our feet, regardless if it's a couching foot or a ruler foot or spoon foot, they're all interchangeably between your machines as well. So that's the nice thing about the Nolte machines is that you can take your feet from one machine to the next. But she will be giving you some tips and tricks, and all of these also will be done primarily probably at a machine, like for example the pantograph one. Veronica will be at the back of the machine with the pantograph, being able to show you that. Same with Brenna. She'll be showing you like how do you start the couching foot, because some people think, oh, it's that little bitty circle in there. How do you ever get a piece of yarn through that little bit of circle? So she'll be giving you some tips and tricks on how easy it really is to do that to give a little bit more fun to your quilt. Next class is Joyce. She on the Quilt Imagine Select and Sew.
Yes, so the afternoon Wednesday and the Thursday morning, the Select and Sew and the Pantograph class would give anybody a really good overview of how to use Select and Sew to place blocks, how to choose the right kind of placement, how to fill the block with a pattern, and some of the editing things that are possible with it. And I'm also going to demonstrate a little bit on how gold can enhance Select and Sew in a couple of ways. Basically, this is a get started class or a review class. If you started on your own, a few months ago, a year ago, and you're like unsure of just what you're doing, wondering if you're doing it right, this would be a good class to start with.
And Joyce, a question for you on what if someone does not have a Quilt Imagine yet? Either maybe they have it on order, but it hasn't been delivered yet, or they're thinking about it. Is
Right.
this a class that they would be able to participate in and still follow along?
Yes, yes. All of my classes are basically hands-on. If you have your tablet, bring your tablet, and you'll be following along with little exercises as we go through, learning whatever we're working on at that time. And if you have your Quilt Imagine on order, getting it sometime soon, this would be a really good overview of what to look forward to once it arrives.
And what if someone does not have one yet? Is it a class that they could participate in and still be able to get some
Right.
information to help them make that decision if it's the right thing for them?
Yep, everything is projected onto the screen. So whatever I'm doing on my tablet, on my laptop, you're going to see on the screen. So it's easy to follow everything that we do. You don't get lost. If you do, you raise your hand and we straighten it out. But yeah, you don't necessarily need to have a tablet there, but there might be a spare one laying around that somebody could use for the class. So really great place to start.
Perfect. Another thing to bring up, people that have participated before in our Quilt Imagine classes with Joyce, typically they have always been over at a different location, a couple blocks away. All classes this year will be at the Hiawatha facility, 1105 Hawkeye Drive in Hiawatha. So our paid classes, our free classes, the whole open house Stitch and Save days, it's all at our factory here. So just wanted to point that out, because in the past they have been at different locations throughout Hiawatha. So the next one is Brenna. Brenna will be doing hand-guided feathers. She is amazing at feathers. One of the things that Brenna likes to do is have you bring a tablet with you. So maybe you can do some drawing, that she can give you some guidance on doing some drawing, because anything with free motion, trying to get the muscle memory down, it's really good to do some drawings and then take it to the actual machine and practice the feathers. So she's going to be giving you some tips and tricks on how to make amazing feathers during that 20, 30, 40-minute demonstration on Wednesday afternoon. Okay, let's move on. First of all, does anyone have any questions on the classes that we are going to hold here on Wednesday? Any questions at all, Katie?
Not right now, but
Okay.
keep them coming in and we will answer
Okay.
them as they show up.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Lori. Thanks for joining us. Next day will be Thursday, July 17th. Joyce, you have a Quilt Imagine Pantograph class. Tell us a little bit about that class.
Well, one of the things when people buy automation, their first thought is, I'm buying this just to do edge-to-edge patterns, pantographs. Well, the bottom line of it is the better place to start is with Select and Sew and learn how to use the functions and features in placing blocks. As soon as you put a pantograph and you're going to do an edge-to-edge, then you have to deal with advancing your quilt and lining that pantograph back up again. So this class piggybacks off from the Select and Sew class. So get familiar with everything, how it works in Quilt Imagine, and then move on into pantograph. So one of the things about Select and Sew is on your basic tier and your pro tier, that's pretty much the same. There's really no difference between doing blocks. When you get to the pantograph, however, the basic tier limits you to designing just 2 rows of a pantograph that fit in your safe area. So this class is going to cover how to do that for people that have the basic tier, as well as how to use Power Panto, which is by far the simplest, easiest way in the pro tier to design a pantograph. And of course, once you've designed it, then you have to stitch it. So we'll be talking about zone stitching and getting all the tips and tricks for doing that.
Thanks, Joyce. Next class on Thursday will be Veronica with rulers. Veronica, can you share a little bit about what you are going to be demonstrating?
So with rulers, you have to add your ruler plate. You have to add your ruler foot. And so I will start at the beginning with that to teach you how to add all those things, as well as how to teach you how to do a basic flower or outline something with your ruler, stitch in the ditch. If you have any questions, or please feel free to put them in the comments. I'll answer them.
Thanks, Veronica. 2 more classes on Thursday. The next class is going to be with myself for Business Insights. And what I do in this class is that it's really meant for the people that are considering going into a business, or maybe already in a business, and they have some questions, or the people that are thinking about taking that next step in their quilting journey to go to having a small business to a startup business. I'm there to help answer questions, give you some advice. I have 30 years of experience, 30 plus years in experience in the business world, as far as being from a corporate perspective and now to an entrepreneurial perspective, and different tips and tricks, different things about websites. I will talk about AI. That's very, very powerful, that I would encourage anyone, no matter if you have your own business or not, or just on a personal use, to use AI. It's pretty powerful and what it can do and how it can help your life on a daily basis. So I'll be giving a lot of a presentation. It's usually longer because there's a lot of questions typically. And that'll be 45 minutes on the afternoon of July. And then the last class for the day, Joyce and Veronica, will be about loading the frame. So I'll have one of you or both of you talk about what you plan to present in that class.
Over the years, as I've taught automation classes, I have ended up with a lot of questions from people about how do I load it? How do I keep it rolling straight? what does this do on my frame? And, lots and lots of different kinds of questions. The key to having a really good outcome, whether you're doing hand guided and especially if you're doing automation, is getting that quilt on the frame loaded correctly so that it tracks straight up and down so that the top and bottom are parallel to your rollers. So there's some tips and things that we're going to go over. We're going to go over the techniques on how to do that. Veronica, what else?
I really wanted to learn from Joyce how to pin it correctly. So, but we'll go over obviously the different methods of how to load a quilt, such as red snappers, pinning, or things of that nature as well, so that you know all of your options, zipper leaders, and stuff like that. Because each person may have a different way of doing things, and that's okay.
Right.
Yeah,
So
it'd be great, I think, if you guys could demonstrate the red snappers, because we just had a customer in here this morning, and she hopefully will be joining us that week as well. But she's like, I wish I knew a little bit more about these, and I was showing her some stuff. But I think that'd be great to be able to have in that class, because we do have a lot of questions about, exactly how does this whole red snapper thing work?
Oh, they
right.
could look back at our episode 1 of
Right.
Seems Like Summer, where we loaded
We did.
the quilt
You
with
did.
red
Yeah.
snappers.
You did.
Yeah, when I got my first knolting, nobody ever asked me how I was going to fasten the quilt to the frame. So this, it arrives and I'm going like, well, I guess pinning is what I do. And the thing about the canvas on the knolting frames is it's pretty stiff. It's sturdy.
Mhm.
It's not going to stretch out of shape. So I wore my fingers out pinning that first quilt onto the canvas. And the next day I said, that's it, not doing that again. And I called knolting and ordered a set of zippers. So, there are options. And it is always something that I ask my customers, ever since I've been a dealer, how are you going to get your quilt on the frame? Have you thought
Yes.
about that? It's an important thing as far as the whole bigger picture.
Thanks, Joyce and Veronica. Okay, so those are the classes on Thursday. Any questions regarding the Thursday classes that you may have? Anything, Katie, that you see?
No questions
Okay.
there.
Next, we'll go to Friday, July 18th. We start off with Joyce doing Quilt Imagine Creative Borders with pantographs.
Yeah, I'm going to be up early every day, getting over to knolting, because we're going to start each of these days classes at 8:30. And when we were coming up with a schedule for this, we tried to, fit in what we needed to. The classes are only half-day classes because we wanted to provide free demos and include a lot of content, a lot of educational information for people that are coming in. So the Thursday morning class is creative uses for using pantograph for doing borders and embellishing your quilt by putting borders on it. And again, this class, any of these classes except the pattern CAD class, but the select and sew, the pantograph, this class, and the one actually on Saturday, are open to both tiers, whether you have basic or whether you have the pro tier of Quilt Imagine. You will benefit by any of these classes. So this is just basically using pantograph and how you can creatively, and there's a number of different creative ways to create borders. So we're going to kind of dive into that.
Thanks, Joyce. Next class in the morning on Friday is Veronica with stencils for long arm quilting.
I'm very excited about this class. In fact, I'll be bringing some quilts that I've done some stenciling on. And if you don't have automation yet, this will be the perfect class for you to take and learn some new techniques and how I get, the perfect design on your quilt without using automation, and really hone some of the skills of your drawing and free motion and all of those things. So
Perfect. Thanks, Veronica. Classes in the afternoon then will be with Joyce and Scott on maintenance. This is always a great class, well attended. So if this is something, I'd definitely sign up for this class right away. Joyce, I'll let you talk a little bit about what you and Scott plan to share in that class.
Well, as most of you know, there's not a lot of maintenance that you have to do on the Knowlting system, but there are things that you do need to do to keep things running tip top. And so those are the things that we're going to cover. You know, if this were truly a how you fix it maintenance kind of class, we'd be done in about 5 minutes. You know, we'd talk about the oiling and that would be about it. But we're going to cover the whole system, the frame, the machine, and even automation if you have it, things that you need to do to make sure that your system is going to operate and perform at peak performance. So Scott and I have done, you know, this kind of class before for several years, and Scott's perspective is from the mechanical end of it. Mine is somewhat from the mechanical end of it, but more from the operator end of it and the quilting end of it. So great class, great for anybody, just to know how to take care of your system.
Will you be doing things such as, I know you and Scott have done this before, but in this particular one, are you doing anything like how to make sure that your needle's loaded in correctly, or things like that, Joyce?
Yes, that's always a good thing. I was helping someone the other day, and it turned out she had the needle in backwards. So
and we see that a lot, and so I know the guys in the back. Simple things like, you know, showing them how to use the magnet that they can buy here that will help them. A couple dollars and is well worth it.
Right.
So good. Hopefully people will get that it's not just about how to oil, but different things and how you can change different things in your machine too, such as a foot or a needle.
Right. And then there's some things that always play into the maintenance end of it. You know, such as tension. Sometimes there's things going on that can mess up our tension.
We have a question, ladies. We have a question from Sandy Waters. Will the maintenance class be online?
Sandy, what I'm doing right now is evaluating each of the classes, and we're looking to see, because that class is going to be with Joyce. More than likely, I will say that it will probably be online. But it will be coming up on the website on which classes will be online and which classes will not be online. We are going to try to attempt to make most of the free classes online, but we're working through some technical type things here to make sure that we can provide you a class that is visible and that it's basically, you know, kind of worth your time too, because we want to be able to produce something that you can see online as well. So Katie and I are working through some of those logistics and the technology, and we'll be putting that on our website of which ones will be online. Hopefully that answers your question, Sandy. Any other oh, we have one more class that day. Joyce, power of PTP.
Yeah, so P2P means point to point, and it is a specific technique that's used with automation. So whether you have a quilter or whether you have QuiltMagine, there is the option to do P2P, point to point. It is by far, I think, the most awesome technique there is out there. I use it all the time. I use it a lot for doing custom quilting because it allows me to place several elements of a pattern, repeats of a pattern, and then when I say stitch it, it stitches the whole thing as one. So instead of placing 4 different triangles, I place the triangles, they're kind of combined together, and it stitches all 4 triangles at one time. So it is a very, very powerful feature on automation, and if you don't know about it, you need to learn about it.
I'm excited about that class.
You'll love it.
And Joyce, which line product in QuiltMagine is the point to point?
So with the point to point, you would need to have the Pro Tier with gold, because it's accessed through in Select and Sew multi-placement. So yes, and if you don't have gold yet and you're wondering about it, drop in on this free class, because you'll learn enough. You'll go like, I gotta have that.
And remember, there's some super deals in each class, so you don't know maybe what it might be.
Right, you just never know.
Okay, so those are the classes for July or for Friday. Next, let's go to Saturday. We have a full day class on Saturday. So we'll start with Joyce on the Quilt Imagine must know features.
Yes, I've been extremely impressed with Quilt Imagine over the years because of all of the little features that are in it that make our life as a quilter easier. You know, I won't say it's super easy, but we have these features. Like one of them is the repair feature in Quilt Imagine. You need to know how to do that. I It was one that I ended up doing pretty early on. I always kept my bobbin full, didn't, but one day it ran out and I'm going like, well, I guess today's the day I learn how to use repair. And once I tried it, I'm going like, wow, look at that. The needle went right down through the hole that was in the quilt. I mean, talk about accuracy. That was outstanding. I couldn't, it was hard to believe that that was what was happening. So we have that feature, and we have other features that are built into the program that everybody has. I'm not going to spoil it by telling you everything, but you can look at the write-up. But there's other things that we have that are things that you really need to know, because you may be doing things the hard way. You may be fiddling around with this and that, and trying to get what you want, when there is a really simple, easy way, because it's built right in. So show up on Friday or Saturday morning for the must know features.
Okay, then there are a couple other questions that, and I apologize about my camera. It keeps kind of going in and out. We have a few technical things that are happening here that we're trying to figure out. Wanda had asked, where can I find the best Quilt Imagine tutorials? A couple things there, Wanda. Obviously, the classes that we're going to have here in person is a great way to know more about Quilt Imagine, as well as if you're not able to attend, Joyce does have some classes that you can rent from her website at Delightful Quilting and Sewing. Is that right, Joyce?
Delightful-qs.com.
And she has some classes out there that you can actually rent, 1 to 4 classes, and she has them out there. And when you rent them, you have X amount of time that you can use them, so you can keep going over them. So that's a couple different sources for Quilt Imagine. There's also a lot of times YouTube that you might be able to go to. It kind of depends on your learning style, but definitely in Hiawatha during July 16th through the 19th is we'll have the in-person classes, and that's always a really nice way to be able to learn as well. So if you're not from this area, though, we welcome you here. I believe Katie was actually looking into some hotels. She's going to put a couple hotels up on the website for some special rates. So we'd love to have you come visit us in Hiawatha and see the factory as well. One other question before we go with the rest of the classes. Our training classes one-on-one, also how often are they scheduled? So the training classes that we're talking about today are not one-on-one. They are, there are several different people in the classes. I believe Joyce has a limit of 12 in her Quilt Imagine classes. And then we'll probably have a limit of around 20 people for the free classes. So as I mentioned, if you're interested, I definitely sign up for something, because they are starting to get full. And with that, and then one-on-one, for instance, it depends on what you're looking for. We do have, outside of the Stitch and Save days, we do have one-on-one classes that you can purchase with us, anywhere from 4 hours to 2 full days. So it all depends on what you're looking for. We're more than happy to help you put together something if you're not able to come to our Stitch and Save days, to be able to put something together so that we could help you in your quilting journey. So with that, let's continue with our free classes here. Saturday, we have Veronica with some hand-guided tips and techniques.
Oh, I love free motion quilting. I free motion quilted for almost 5 years before I upgraded to automation. So I'll be teaching you the basics of loops, swirls, um, how to make flowers, roses, just simple designs to make your quilt look awesome without having to, think too in too much difficulty with it.
Perfect. Next class in the afternoon, then we have Joyce with the power of automation.
I'm going to stop you real quick, Joyce. I do have a question from Diane Cox. With the classes, are there handouts with tips and tricks?
Joyce and Veronica, can you answer that?
My classes, the paid classes, usually have a handout with that. I don't know that we've talked about a handout with some of these others, but we probably could talk about it.
Well, and I do encourage people for any of the classes, I always encourage people to bring a notebook and a pencil, especially if they're giving guidance on how to do hand guided type things, because sometimes people have you start drawing. Like Brenna, I know she's big on having you do some drawing. So it's always good sometimes to take your own notes as well. I'm not sure if the educators will have any or not, but it is good to have your own, because sometimes your own notes make a little bit more sense to you than someone else's notes as well.
Well, and also a lot of the free classes we've mentioned before are going to be posted online for you guys to view as well in the live feed. So we hope that you guys will tune in and watch those.
And then the last class for the day, this is always an interesting one, and people like understand that because a lot of people don't even know it's possible. Joyce is going to be doing a class on binding at the frame.
Okay, so we skipped a few here. Veronica, and the tips and products for success.
Oh, I skipped that one.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We didn't finish.
Sorry, Veronica.
Oh, that's okay. I think me and Joyce are both teaching this one, so I think we'll just go over things like what she was talking about, putting the needle in correctly, and there's a magnet that you can buy to correctly put that needle in. We'll talk about the different feet that are that we can use on our nulting machines and what they're used for. What rulers can be purchased, what kind of thread we love to use. I'll have we'll have other like her book that I love to use for everybody when we're looking for techniques to try and fix tension or things like that. Her book is amazing. She's got like 6 pages of troubleshooting guides in it. So even if you don't have a nulting long arm, that is the book for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have the binding at the frame, Joyce.
Yep. So I have two demonstrations in the afternoon. If you are considering automation, even thinking about it and wondering what it can do for you, it'll quilt a block, it'll quilt a pantograph, but what does it really do for you? And does it limit your creativity? Does it make your quilting look stale? Things like that. Answering all kinds of questions on automation. So if you're going to come to that demo, bring your questions. This is not going to point you in any specific direction, whether it's IQ or whether it's QuiltMagine. This is kind of a global look at automation and what it can actually do. Now, I will be able to demonstrate both QuiltMagine and IQ, afterwards or at any time, when I'm free. If you're interested in learning more about automation, just hunt me down and I'll be happy to show you what's available out there. But this one is on, what you can do with the automation and how powerful it really can be for you. And my rounding out the whole schedule here in the afternoon at 2:00 on Saturday. One of the things that I started doing many years ago is starting sewing the binding on while the quilt was on the frame. The quilt is all quilted, and most of the time you take it off and you trim it, and then you've got this great big humongous quilt that you're trying to wrestle under your sewing machine to get that binding on. So I come up with some really good and easy to do techniques on how to sew that binding on while it's on the frame, so that when you take it off, all you have to do is trim the edge of the quilt, turn that binding to the back, and then get your needle out and sew that binding down. So it saves a lot of time. So whether you have a business, this makes a really good add-on for a business, or whether you are just doing quilts for yourself. This is a great technique to learn how to do.
Thanks, Joyce. Thanks, Veronica. Any questions for the educators on what, if you have any questions on what they might be covering during that class, or anything that you have for questions for them, post them here, and then Katie will let me know, and we can get those answered before we end the series or the event here today. So once again, I want to invite you to July 16th through the 19th. It's going to be a week full of inspiration, education, and information. And so it's going to be a fun weekend here. As I mentioned, we'll have demonstrations going on. If you've been thinking about a long arm, thinking about that trade in, trade up, this is the time to do it. I will have lots of specials here. We'll have staff members that will be able to help you with the demonstrations. You can also, as I mentioned, schedule something directly with the salesperson so that you have your time slot, and you're not waiting in line, because it is a very busy weekend here. But the nice thing is that we have it over 4 days now. So it's not just one day. So if Saturdays doesn't work out for you, hopefully we see you on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, or all the 4 days of different classes. We'd love to see you. And so would Veronica and Brenna and Joyce. The other thing is that besides the demos, the specials, and the classes, you'll be able to meet the employees at Nolting, the people that you're talking to when you're calling into us, or you have a question, or you have a question with Scott. The assembly guys, the tech guys, they will all be here as well. And typically David, our engineer, he's usually in most of the time during that week as well. So if you have questions, we will all be here for you. So with that, go to our website, www.nolting.com. And if you click on the banner, that will take you directly to our Stitch and Save days for the paid and unpaid classes, or the scan the QR code in the top right-hand corner that Katie has on the screen for you right now. You can register there. They'll be on social media. I know Veronica, I think, did a few videos on things she's going to be doing too. So we'll be putting those out there so you can hear a little bit more about that. We'll also be putting this Stitch and or Summer Seems Like Summer series out there, so people can that were not able to participate today, or maybe you want to go back and see what we had talked about for one of the classes. You're able to review this event again today as well. So, Katie, you miss anything?
No, you didn't miss anything, and I think we don't have any more questions, but feel free to always reach out and give us a call. We'd be happy to answer any other questions you have at a later time.
We'd love to see you July 16th through the 19th. We will plan on seeing you in Hiawatha, Iowa.
Bye, quit, friends.